Real Estate Radio, hosted by the real estate therapist, Larry Shakman, a top producing real estate broker, author, CEO, and founder of TrustedAgentUSA.com, the ultimate real estate matchmaker, connecting you with top performing agents for 2% commission. Each week, we bring you exclusive interviews with industry experts, covering everything from staging to negotiation strategies to home inspection issues and everything in between. Whether you're selling your home, a first-time home buyer, or a seasoned investor, we've got you covered. Let's make your real estate dreams a reality in this fast-moving and ever-changing real estate market. This program is funded in whole or in part by Trusted Agent USA. Illinois license number 475-145-795. Now, here's Larry.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It is, I believe, December 9th. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Happy to have you along. Welcome to the Real Estate Radio Show podcast. We're on every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, every Saturday at 9 o'clock. And we have an announcement to make. I'm going to wait for Dylan to come online before we do that, which will be shortly. Before we do that, I want to just once again thank our sponsors. Number one, Trusted Agent USA. So Trusted Agent USA, that's where we meld what consumers want, which are great agents and agents that, are going to be there with you through the whole transaction, get you over the finish line, top performing, top producing agents at reasonable commissions. So, and if you're interested in that, you want to save money when you sell, buy, or invest, just go to TrustedAgentUSA.com. Now, I also want to thank our other partners real quickly. And of course, that is the one, the only Dylan Kramer, our partner, co-host. Dylan is the branch manager over at Benchmark Mortgage in Oak Brook, works with people throughout the country. So wherever you are, Dylan will give you his contact information. He can help you get pre-approved, answer any questions for you regarding the mortgage process. You're going to be able to talk to Dylan today and every Wednesday and Saturday. Also, I want to thank our other sponsor, At Home Title Services. If you're a real estate broker in Illinois and you would also like to be a title agent, a registered title agent where you can help your sellers through that whole process as well and add that to your menu of services, check them out on December 13th. Go to their website at hometitleservices.com and sign up for their next virtual event. That's on December 13th. So I hope you guys are ready for a great show. I am going to remove this and I'm going to replace it with this. Look at that.
Nice. Look at that. You are the master of technology, my friend. How are you this morning?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to be here for the people.
Yeah, we are here for the people. That is exactly right. That's what we do. How's your what do you got planned for the weekend?
You know what? I actually going to spend my Saturday refereeing basketball. I've got a 1 p.m. and a 4 p.m. today, and then we'll probably have a nice little they say the weather's going to turn, but I'm still planning on grilling today. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, good for you.
And then I got some kind of year-end business planning stuff to do tomorrow, especially around some of the stuff that's shifting with the announcement we're going to make. So I've got some project stuff for that. And I got a big week coming up. I've got to travel out of town on a work thing and a couple of things. So it's going to be interesting.
All right. You're a busy guy.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you?
Yeah, same here. You know that condo I put on the market I haven't even put it on the market yet in Naperville. We put that on the PLN about, I want to say 3 weeks ago. Gone.
Yeah, good for you.
So cash deal.
Not surprising given some of the parameters we talked about in that transaction. Sorry, as I lean over here to grab a Kleenex. So the thing is that I think that, what you described about the qualities of that property, it comes as no surprise that we've got activity, right?
Yeah.
Investor buyer or owner occupant?
Oh, no, owner occupant.
Okay.
And really nice lady. You know, we rehabbed that whole place. That place looks fabulous. And you know, we could have put it on the market directly before, you know, without just selling it on the PLN.
Sure.
However, it's a cash deal. We're closing in 2 weeks. There's some medical issues with the seller. So I think all in all, this is a better outcome and immediate closing
Right. Well,
without
and,
having to worry about financing.
you know what, Larry, it's very cliche. I know we beat this, but it sounds like a great example. You know, when we talk, we get so many people are hung up on price, right? Like I got to get X amount of dollars. And, you know, sometimes you can show them the math, right? If your payment's $2,000 a month, you take 5 grand less today, or you take more or 5 grand more in 90 days, but you got to pay 2 grand a month for 3 months. Maybe that doesn't really work out for you. But you know, it's very cliche in the business. You can have your price if I can have my terms. And it's absolutely true. There are times, and I have an old story about this. I don't know, we want to go down that rabbit hole today, but there are times where it really makes sense to take this deal, even though it makes a little less money for you, because it solves another problem. And speed can be a thing to solve. For example, waiving contingencies can be another thing to solve, for example, where you don't have to sell the current house to buy a different house. There's all sorts of things that it can be important to sellers and buyers, frankly, that may get them to agree on a slightly different.
There's a lot of dynamics that
Yeah,
go into it with
for sure.
everybody's life and what's going on. The good news with this is we sold it for over list price.
Even better.
So we sold it for over list price. We got the seller a buyer that can close in 2 weeks with cash, and you know, great. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because the buyers are out there, guys. The buyers are definitely out there. And the inventory is starting to slowly but surely come back on the market. But these properties that are sought after, like this was a condo in Naperville.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Walk to downtown Naperville.
You could literally walk to down. Yes, you could walk to downtown Naperville. You're like right in the middle of everything. And it was under 250. And it was in great condition, right? So properties like that, even though we have more properties coming on the market, they get swept up pretty quick. And that's because there's a lot of pent up buyer demand out there.
Well,
there really is.
And Larry, I think it's a combination, right? Like pent up buyer demand is absolutely true. But I think the other thing that's important is that we are experiencing a market, and have for a few years, really since the beginning of the pandemic, where a bunch of people are like, oh, I could sell my crap box house for 50 grand more, and they'd put it on the market. Lousy inventory is always available. So quality inventory, right? Place that's cleaned up, place that's got, updated, modernized kitchen, or, cleaned, remodeled bathrooms for the sale, or whatever the case is, those will move quickly just because the other inventory is not nearly as attractive.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't stage your house properly, if you're not working with not only a real estate broker, real estate agent, but a marketing agent that knows how to position your home on the market, knows how to stage it correctly, and you listen to them, you're going to be on the market for a while. You could have you could be in the room with the smartest guy in the room, and they can tell you exactly what to do. And if you don't listen to them and you go down that path yourself, whatever it is you want to travel, you just got to, take accountability for whatever happens as a result of that.
Well, my man, you've heard me say this more than once over the course of the time we've been doing this, and that is, you have got to show up to your own rescue.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is a great way. Once again, you have taken my long-winded and nailed it. Yes, you've got to show up to your own rescue. Exactly. Yeah. Just listen to the people that can help you. Dylan's been doing this 20,000+ years. I've been doing this 23 years. And whether it's us or whoever you're working with, as long as you trust them and believe in them and they have the experience you feel warrants listening to them, which I'm assuming they do, or you wouldn't be working with them, right?
Right.
Listen to them, because they're going to get your home sold faster for more money and with less aggravation. And that's what trustedagent.com does. So go there and look at it. All right. So that's enough of that.
Nice.
Now, we have an announcement we want to make before we jump into some stats and get back into that PMI conversation. Dylan and I are going to be back live. The Real Estate Radio Show podcast is going to be back live from the studio, WCPT AM, out of Chicago. We broadcast to the entire Chicago metro area. We also get a little bit into Indiana, Michigan, and some of the surrounding states, little bit over the borders, but primarily we're right in the Chicago metro market. And of course, when we're broadcasting live and streaming live with the podcast, we're everywhere. You can watch us on YouTube at Larry Shakman. You can watch us on Facebook at Launch My Listing. You could watch us on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Larry Shakman, and you'll see us when we go live every Wednesday at 11, every Saturday at 9 a.m. But we're excited about getting back into the studio, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic for the show. I think the show's got a different vibe when we're in the studio. So I'm excited to start doing the Saturday show that we're doing right now from the radio studio.
Yes.
Starting January 6th.
Yes, and we'll still be starting January 6th at 9 a.m., 9 to 10 a.m. like we were, same slot. We'll still be doing the Wednesday podcast like we are here now. But yeah, Saturdays we're excited to get back in the studio and have some fun right from the studio with our
Absolutely.
buddy Devin and on the board for us, and just rocking the radio.
Yeah, I think the radio, like I said, the radio adds another dynamic, and I think that it allows us to broaden the reach of the show, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm excited. It's a big 2024 business initiative, I think, for both of our businesses, as well as we're excited to kind of partner with WCPT on this.
Yeah, they do a great job over there. They're great guys and girls and women, whatever, sorry if I insulted anyone. But yeah, they're a great bunch of people over there. We love being there, so we're excited to be back. January 6th, 9 a.m., first show broadcast from the studio again. All right, before we get into any, quick stats, couple things I rolled across that I'm looking for your opinion on and to straighten me out on.
Sure.
I came across, a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, we went over the most affordable places to live, right? The
Right.
top 10 most affordable places. We went over the top 5 most expensive places to live, and I think 3 of them were in California.
Right.
One of them, the average list price was like 8.8 million. And that's because a lot of, I forget which town it was in. It was pronounced really weird, but a lot of tech millionaires and billionaires live there. So that's
Right.
why it's so whatever. But so today I came across a list. I'm going to bring it on the screen. I came across this list where this is the top 10 real estate markets in 2024. Now I'm going to get rid of us on the screen so that we can see everything here. Give me a second. Boom, there it is. Okay. So these are the top 10 real estate markets in 2024. Now this is not just, the least expensive markets or the most expensive markets. This is based on amenities, location. You're going to notice a lot of these are feeder cities that feed into bigger cities. a lot of investors love feeder cities
Right.
because they raise the price of the property, like a feeder city here in Chicago Metro into Chicago would be, Oak Brook, would be even Morton Grove, even
Right.
Arlington Heights, at Naperville. There's a train to, I'm in Naperville, there's a train to the city nonstop, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and you're in downtown Chicago. So that is huge. So these are the top 10 real estate markets of 2024. Now, let's start with the top. All right. So we're going to start with number one is Toledo, Ohio. I
Right.
have never been to Toledo. That was kind of a surprise to me. I'm going to kind of look into Toledo just to see what's going on in Toledo that makes realtor.com believe that Toledo is, or puts them on this list at number one, no less, Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah, I'm kind of fascinated by that. Although I think obviously it's got to be as you using your term feeder city. I assume it's a Cleveland feeder city, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna look into it because I was actually surprised to see that on there. And I don't want to dive too deep into the article because we could talk about it for 2 hours if we wanted
Right.
to. The number two is Oxnard, Thousand Oaks, Ventura, California. Now, if I had to guess, I would say those are feeder cities into LA. I don't know. So if you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook and you know the answer to that, let us know. Remember, you guys, you can comment or drop us a question and we're going to see it and respond to it. So, yeah, I'm assuming those are feeder cities into LA. But yeah, Oxnard, Thousand Oaks, Ventura, California is number two. Number three, it's Rochester, New York. They have beautiful winters all over New York, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm kidding. Like Chicago,
Yeah,
our
exactly.
our weather's about to change, like you said. I haven't exactly seen what they're talking about, but I'm assuming we might be getting some snow or something.
I don't know if we're getting snow or it's just, look, it's been unseasonably 50 degrees, right? Like if it drops to 38 and
Yeah,
everybody's, you know, surprised, I'd be like, oh, you haven't been living here long enough. It should be 38 degrees at this time of year.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so Rochester, New York is number three. And number four, now this is an expensive market. San Diego it's a beautiful area. They have some of the best weather in the whole country year round. But San Diego, Chula Vista, Carlsbad, California come in at number four. San Diego, like I said, is a super expensive place to live. It's not cheap
Right.
housing wise. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, look, it could be up, it could be up 20% in activity next year, and it's still going to be an average sales price of, $700,000 for 1,000 square foot ranch.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd have to dive deep into that to see, but yeah, it's expensive. There's no getting around it. San Diego's not cheap. Okay, number five, again in California, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ontario, California. Again, these sound like feeder cities. I'm not sure. I think Ontario is Northern California. I'm not sure though. So again, if anybody is listening out there and can fill us in on that, let us know. But again, those sound like feeder cities. So, these are typically really good cities to invest in. But California, I don't know about investing in California real estate at this time because although it goes up often and a lot, it is some of the most expensive real estate you're going to find out there in the
Yeah, for
country.
sure. So Larry, I'll tell you, I'm looking at the map now. It's due east of Los Angeles, Ontario,
Okay.
Rancho Cucamonga, etc. So,
Oh, there you go. So it's a feeder city into
yeah,
LA.
yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. And I'd be curious to know what the average price of a home is there in Ontario. But yeah, coming in at number 5, Riverside, San Bernardino in Ontario, California. Right below that, again, California, everybody's always talking about all the problems they have in California, right? And they do, and all big cities do. We
Right.
have a problem with homelessness. We need to address that. 100%, we need to address that. But it's funny, a lot of these towns that are popping up on, according to realtor.com, the top 10 real estate markets of 2024, um, they're in California.
Right.
People love that weather, man, right?
Yeah, for sure. Look, here's the thing. I've spent a lot of time in California, and there is no question that you can't do better than the weather. Like it just that's the reality of the situation. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I tell everybody about Chicago. If we had California's weather, this would be the greatest place in the world to live.
Yeah.
If we had California's weather. The winter I can do without. The summer times here is unbeatable, but and spring. But yeah, the winters can get a little rough. So yeah, coming in at number 6 is Bakersfield, California. And you've heard there's this Rolling Stone song, and I forget the name of it, where they reference Bakersfield, and like with whatever it is, those things that blow through the town as the wind. What's it called?
Tumbleweeds.
What?
Tumbleweeds.
Yeah, tumbleweeds. It's like one of those towns, but apparently not. I think probably Bakersfield is an extremely affordable town. But again, I'm not sure why it's on the list, but it's number 6 on the list of the top 24 markets in real estate in 2024. And again, this is according to realtor.com. Okay. So number 7 is Springfield, Massachusetts. I used to live in North Weymouth, Massachusetts.
All right.
Sorry, say that 14 times quickly. Which is right outside of Boston. I literally lived across the bay where I was looking at Boston. This was many moons ago. And Massachusetts is just a great area. It's very similar to Chicago, very cosmopolitan, but also very blue collar at the same time.
Right.
A lot of any great restaurant you can think of, you're going to find in Boston. And yeah, so coming in at number 7 is Springfield, Massachusetts. And there you go. Coming in at number 8 is, you know how to pronounce that?
Worcester.
That's right. Worcester, Massachusetts. And it says Massachusetts, Connecticut. So I'm curious about that, because I didn't live, North Weymouth isn't that far from Worcester, but I'm trying to think of why it says Worcester, Massachusetts, Connecticut. There must be a Worcester, Connecticut too, I'm assuming.
Well, that, or there's you might call it like, Waukegan / Wisconsin, right? Like you're up that way. It just may be the corridor.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be. Number 9, Grand Rapids / Kentwood, Michigan. So if I remember correctly, my dad was in the insurance business forever, right?
Right.
And I'm not sure, but I think like Grand Rapids is one of like the capitals of the insurance industry. Unless I'm thinking of a different city, but he went there a lot. He used to go there often to Grand Rapids. But yeah, Grand Rapids, Kentwood, Michigan. I love Michigan. We go to Michigan almost every year for some amount of time. It's a great, great place. So green and so, a lot of lakes everywhere.
Right.
Just great place.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Michigan as well. And Grand Rapids is really kind of an undiscovered gem of an area, right? It's high growth. It's not really Detroit or manufacturing driven, and it's certainly close enough to the more attractive areas of the state in terms of recreation.
Yeah. Yeah. So Grand Rapids coming in at number 9, and number 10. Here we are. Number 10, top 24 real estate market in 2024 is Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim. Now, all we hear lately is how people are fleeing California
Right.
and Los Angeles because prices are too high. And a lot of the places they say, you're hearing people leaving California for are like Texas and Florida. I heard that more people are leaving Florida for California than California for Florida. So who knows what the stats are? There's so many stats out there. There's so many numbers out there. Who knows who to listen to? But number 10 on the list is Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Anaheim. Now Long Beach, I know, is a feeder city into Los Angeles, as is Anaheim, I'm guessing. But again, not an inexpensive area to live.
Yeah, but I mean, you can be hot without having to be cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, listen, the luxury market is and there's a joke there somewhere. I'm not even going there. But the luxury market is actually running about 5 to 7% hotter than the bread and butter market. That because people with that kind of money that are buying $2, $3, $4 million homes, they move money around differently. And when they purchase real estate, it's a different kind of financial.
Well, and it's certainly not, Larry, as directly impacted by mortgage rates.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I mean by they move money around differently. They're not really concerned with interest rates, which they went down again a little bit last week, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I don't want to say, nothing big, but they went the trend.
I just wouldn't. The trend continues to be positive. Let's say that rates continue to be improving in a way that I think you could be comfortable with the idea that you might continue to see this dropping. I would argue, though, that we're very near a moving average on the trading, and that I don't expect that we're going to have a lot of. If rates are going to continue lower from here, we're going to have to kind of have some significant news on the inflation and economy front. I'm not sure that's coming. So the move's been nice, but I think that it's probably more healthy to spend some time hanging out here. I don't think we're going to 6% by the end of the year. Like, even though they're, right. For the best customers, could they get a 6.875 today? Meaning 25% down, single family home, W-2 job, plenty of money in the bank? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, like you said last week, the trend is our friend right now.
Exactly.
And who knows what's going to happen. I'm still keeping my fingers and toes crossed that I'm right about the spring, but who knows? We could be exactly where we are right now come March.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. You're exactly
Isn't that horrible?
No, I look, if we were here, we'd be right where we were about a year ago, right? Like I was looking at some files. One of the things we do is we do kind of an annual review, if you will, of the mortgage situation for all the clients that we work with after they've been closed, right? Where's your equity at? What else is going on in your personal finances, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that we do as we do that is we review where they closed. Well, people were closing at 6.875 at this time last year. So yes, rates have been higher, but year over year, if you just picked December 23 and December 22, rates are flat. So,
Yeah.
are they getting dramatically lower from here? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? And like you just alluded to, I don't think we want them to go dramatically lower, you know,
I think that's
quickly.
as disruptive as rates going down, right?
Exactly.
You want to turn around and you want to, um, again, we have a market where it's harder to make things happen because rates are high.
Yeah.
If we end up in a situation where we get 6% in early January, it will be harder to make things happen because you can't get anybody to sell you your house.
Yeah.
There'll be 15 offers again. And we've talked about that a bunch of times. And I hate to
But it's worth
sound like
mentioning.
I'm beating a dead horse, but that's a real thing.
Listen, been there, done that, and people should remember what it was like to stand in line at an open house
Yes.
with 30 people just to see the house.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
It happened all the time not that long ago. I think we're headed for a healthier situation. It all comes down, well, part of it, I think, in a big way, comes down to inventory.
I think you're right about that. And so the question is, would we unleash a bunch of inventory that we can't see now if that becomes the case? Larry, I gotta step away for 1 minute. I got something going on here at the house. I'll be
Yeah,
right
no
back.
problem. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no worries. Go
No,
ahead.
what Dylan was saying is very true, and what I just alluded to in terms of inventory is, inventory, it kinda rules everything, just like any other market, supply and demand is king. So, inventory kinda runs the show. When there's very little inventory and great interest rates, you're gonna see lines out the door waiting to see a property. And if there's a ton of inventory on the market, even with low interest rates, it's still going to be more of a buyer's market because there's more inventory out there and product for buyers to kind of choose from. So supply and demand is king in any market, no less the real estate market. And I think, my partner associate over at EXP, Michael Lafito, has a 1.9 million dollar listing coming on the market in Wheaton. Well,
Of course he does.
it's on the PLN, and he's already getting showings. So that's what I mean about the luxury market, in that it's actually running a little bit hotter than the bread and butter market, which we call for in our market, the $400,000 to $500,000 house.
Right.
So if you're in that $400,000 to $500,000 dollar house range, and even if you're in the upper, 1, 2, 3 million, you got to stage it right. You got to present it right from the start. That's your first and only chance to make that good first impression, right? I mean, you have to do that. It is so imperative. Last week we talked a little bit about PMI, and people are so afraid. And I have an article I'm going to bring up here in a minute that's going to show like first time home buyer grants and some other things I want you to comment on.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about PMI, and when I bought my first house, I had PMI. I didn't put 20% down, and here I am. I lived right and moved on to a bigger house.
I'd actually go one step further, Larry. I mean, we talked a little bit about this for the folks who were on Wednesday, but for today, we're in a situation where again, using your bread and butter term, as kind of representing maybe a $350,000 cheap house, right? If you've saved 10% and you're like, well, I got to wait, and save another 10%, it's a tremendous financial mistake to the tune of
Yes.
$100,000. And you might be like, oh, come on. And that's just to avoid $85 or $100 or $130 a month in PMI, depending on your credit score. But think about it like this. If you make enough money to buy that house, you're probably paying $2,000 a month in rent. If you're paying $2,000 a month in rent and saving $1,000, which is about as optimistic as you can be, right? Because a $350,000 buyer is going to be making $80,000 a year, or about $6,500 a month. You pay your taxes, right? And you're going to save. And so maybe you're bringing home $4,500 tops total. And of that, you're going to spend $2 on rent, and then you're going to save $1. So you're going to live the rest of your life for a month on $1,500 or less.
Right.
So it's optimistic, is my point. Giving you the benefit of the doubt that in 3 years you can save another $35,000, $36,000. You will pay $72,000 in rent. And skip PMI. Congratulations.
Yeah, you win, right?
Right, exactly. Additionally, if you buy today, you're going to have a payment that's maybe $230 a month higher than it would be if you saved 20% down. In that 230 included is the PMI of 100-ish bucks a month. But you get that house appreciating for you for the next 3 years.
That's right. That equity is.
And we think there's a lot of appreciation in the market. Appreciation has been 6% this year, 6.5%, depending on the market on average. But let's say it's half of that. Let's say it's a historical average of 3%.
Right.
That's 10,500 this year in 24, 10,500 in 25, 10,526, non-compounding. It's a little more, but
right.
Keep the numbers around. That's 30 grand. So between the 72 in saved rent and the 30 in appreciation, you made $100 grand.
$104,000.
And it costs you $100 a month in PMI to go buy now.
Yeah.
So you just don't think you're being smart or cute.
Yeah. And here's part of the problem is, look, we're in the business. And when we talk about this, sometimes people can think we're advocating this because it's our business. I mean, we don't make money unless we sell homes, help people buy, sell, and invest in homes, right? But the reality of it is what Dylan is saying, door number one is you don't put 20% down, you put 10% or 5% down. Your PMI is 80 to 130 a month. But as you're living in your house, you're building that equity to $10,000, $12,000 a year, as opposed to door number two, waiting to save another 10% and putting 20% down. But in that same amount of time, if you're paying $2,000 a month in rent, you're talking about another 72 grand out of your pocket. So you tell me, you want door number one or do you want door number two?
Larry, you're exactly right. And the thing is, I think that one of the things, look, you're right on the front end of that conversation when you say, look, we advocate for this in part because it's our business and we need to do business and do transactions and help people buy houses.
Yeah.
But every business, ours included, exists to solve a problem that people have.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, look, I got to buy tires for my cars, right? Are the tire people just advertising tires because they're in the tire business? Well, yes, but you need tires every now and again. And so they let you know, we have them available. If you need them, come over here to get the tires for your car. Same thing here. At the end of the day, I would argue that you have far more benefit than most products. Now, let's not specifically pick on tires or anything else. By securing your financial future through home ownership, attaching yourself to home ownership in a way that I cannot be a stronger advocate for, and is one of the reasons I'm in this business, because
Yeah.
it helps people so dramatically that let's not bury the lead. Yes, absolutely. We're in this business. But I don't know about you. I'm in this business. I stay in this crazy business because it helps people.
Yeah,
A lot.
I agree with that. I get a lot of satisfaction. I mean, some of my best transactions were first-time home buyers, where they were literally crying when I handed them the keys.
Mhm.
And it really is a great feeling to be able to help somebody purchase a home. And I think, especially for first-time home buyers, you don't need to save 20%. You know, get into that first condo, get into that first townhome, build equity, then move
The
on to that.
sooner you get on the system or in the system, the sooner it can go to work for you.
Yeah,
That's the bottom line.
100%. I mean, so important to stop paying somebody else's mortgage. It's
Yeah,
that simple.
it's very cliche, Larry. If you're going to have look, there are places. Let me not say that homeownership's for everyone or every circumstance, right? If you're younger and you haven't settled out your job history, your employment isn't necessarily stable, you're making money today. We worked with a client who was trying to buy a house, trying to buy $1 million house in Glenview last year. And what had happened was he was working for a company as a W-2 job, and he was kind of an IT tech consultant type guy. And in 2021, he had turned around and left that company, and over the course of 18 months kind of tripled his gross income. He was basically working as a consultant and billing. But two things have happened since then. The first one was he tried to buy this place, but he didn't really have the tax history, right? He had changed from where he was to self-employed, and because he
Right.
was self-employed, he didn't have a 2-year history. And it's one thing to turn around and start a company that's a widget business, right? Or a landscaping business, or any one of these things that does something regularly that's a little more predictable. This is kind of an intellectual property type of industry. And, we couldn't make the loan happen, and he ended up staying in his existing house. And I ended up talking to him. We were just doing some year-end kind of check-ins with folks. And that business is totally dried up. It was a flash in the pan. He made a bunch of money, but he's like, thank God I wasn't able to buy that place, because I'm not sure I would be able to make the payments for the
Yeah.
long run.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, sometimes it's not time for somebody to be a buyer. Fresh business, recent graduate. I may get married in a year or two. I may graduate. I may get a promotion, and this company is going to require me to move to corporate in Florida, in Jacksonville, or Washington, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't bear the costs of buying and selling. However, for most folks, that knowledge is not certain. And if you're going to be in a situation where you're going to pay a rent payment and you don't have an exit strategy from that, meaning those life changes are foreseeable and coming, right? Then you probably should be buying a place,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, your monthly housing payment pays a mortgage. It's only a question of whether it pays your mortgage or somebody else's.
Yeah. And, we say that all the time. And yes, you're right. It sounds a little cliched, but you know what? Cliches are cliches because they're true.
Because they got a lot of truth to them.
There's
By
a
the way,
lot
did
of,
you notice
not
that
a,
I just did the social media 30-second clip, like at the end there? Make sure you snip that at the 44-minute mark.
I will. You'll have that in about 45 minutes. Yeah, but it really is the truth. You got to get in you have to purchase and start your journey down that in that real estate space, because that is how you build wealth in America. And if I would venture to guess, probably anywhere else too, own
Well, it's
property.
funny you say that, Larry. Look, when I use the term the system, you're kind of referencing this. There is a system, and we've decided as a society, as Americans, that we are going to value home ownership. We're going to value it for lots of reasons, and some of them are non-financial, right? Home ownership builds and anchors communities. Home ownership helps a lot of related businesses because people are not living in rentals, so they spend more money at Home Depot and
Oh, yeah.
other construction related industries to make their little piece of the world theirs, rather than so we sell more expensive paint, and we have more creativity in home furnishings and appliances. Whereas if we're all renting, it all just might be very utilitarian, right? So just it drives the economy.
Hey,
However, the system also exists from a tax standpoint with the mortgage interest deduction, with the property tax deductions, to encourage you to own.
yeah.
So the system is a real thing. So
Yeah.
you could sit there and begrudge the system,
It is what it is.
or you can turn around and play ball.
Yeah.
You choose.
Yeah.
But you don't get to go, well, I'm not playing by those rules. Yes, you are. It's just a question of, are you buying or not?
Yeah.
But the
Exactly.
rules around all this stuff still exist.
Yeah. And it just makes sense. It really does. I mean, like we said, door number one, door number two. Door number one, you're going to pay about $72,000 in rent, saving up that additional 10%. Door number two, you're going to have an $80 to $125, $130 PMI payment until you get up to that 20%. But guess what? You're also going to be gaining all that equity in your home. And in the last 6 decades, like I said, I think there's been 4 days where prices have gone down in real
Right.
estate. So you're making a pretty good investment and a pretty good choice if you're choosing door number two, right? So I want to bring something on the screen here real quick, because I want your opinion of these things. So I can't there's first time home buyer grant programs, and there are first time home buyer not grant programs, but let me get your opinion. How do you feel about the grant programs?
Larry, here's the thing I'm going to tell you. In my experience, I think that there's never a free money program. I talk to first time buyers regularly, obviously, as you do. And lots of people will come in and they'll say, hey, do you have any programs that give me free money for being a first time home buyer? And the answer is those are very few and far between. The program you kind of got up on the board, the FHFA first time home buyer discount, that's a one program that has some traction because it can turn around and if you're a big bank, right? Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, it doesn't matter. And you need to make loans to serve your what's called CRA, or Community Reinvestment Act, means you're not lending in some underserved zip codes. So if you're buying in those zip codes and you have a below median income, right? So, half the incomes are above, half the incomes are below, you may be able to take advantage of one of these programs, but they're challenged. They can be challenging to access. The thing is, though, there are low and no money down payments. If you can save 3.5%, you can go buy an FHA loan and it's no problem.
Yeah.
There are several down payment assistance options. We have one at Benchmark where we turn around and get you 100% financing with a first mortgage for 96.5% and a second mortgage for 3.5%. Home Ready and Home Possible, like you have on the screen here, are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's 3% down loans. And so, you take a counseling class and you get a little closing cost credit and you go through a little extra hoop jumping, and yeah, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's options, here at conventional 97, another 3% down and the FHA is 3.5. So I would tell you there's plenty of no money or low money down options available. There's just not a lot of free money programs, right? Like at the end of the day, the IDA program here in Illinois will turn around and get you 100% financing, but it gets you a same thing, an FHA loan, and then a more costly second mortgage, but you get 100% financing. USDA is not real common in the Chicago market, but I know a lot of people who do a lot of USDA business, and it's no money down for sure. It's a little more rural, thus the name. I'm an advocate of the VA loan and taking advantage of the VA home loan benefit.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely 100% financing. And if the veteran is a minimum percentage disabled, they don't even have to pay the funding fee, which usually gets added to the loan amount, right? Which is about 3%. So you get, you'd buy a $200,000 house, you get a loan for 206 with the funding fee, but it's really only $200,000 if they're disabled and eligible. So, and that's disabled per their discharge, right? Per their certificate, their DD 214, rather than disabled in the way the general market or insurance companies might categorize that.
So these next things here are popular first-time home buyer grants.
Yep.
Okay. So like the first one we're looking at here is the National Home Buyers Fund, and just comment on any of these as you see them.
All of these, Larry, are kind of under that other umbrella that I had just mentioned, right? So you're going to get 3.5 or 5% down, and they're going to come in with a second behind it. Now, some of these, IDA has 2 loan programs, right? And for their second liens, one, and they're a great example. They'll come in and they'll take a second lien and they'll say, okay, well, we'll forgive the $12,000 at $1,000 a year if you live there for 12 years. And then at the end of the day, at the end of 12 years, it's fine. But who knows what their life's going to look like in 12 years, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, that's a challenge. Good Neighbor Next Door is a very solid program. I'm familiar with it. So if you are here at Sal, it tells you on the list, teachers, firefighters, law enforcement officials, they get an advantage as well. So there's lots of ways to skin the cat. My thing is this: if you are motivated, Larry, to buy without having to save 20% down, there are answers for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that's the main thing that we're really focusing on here is that, guys, you do not need to save 20% to buy your first home. And I would not suggest you do that unless, you can do that in a relatively short period of time, because you're leaving a ton of money on the table.
That's the important thing, Larry, is I think that, you hit the nail on the head there. It's just because I guess at the end of the day, you're missing the boat if you don't get into home ownership as soon as you can.
100%.
Again, getting all these advantages, getting the tax advantages, getting the appreciation advantages, getting the fire your landlord, to throw a cliche around, advantages, working for you. There's plenty of options in the market, as you're seeing here.
Yeah.
To finance the property and take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No question about it, guys. So get out there and explore these opportunities to help you get into a property without saving for the next 5 years or 3 or 4 years to get that 20% down.
Well, and Larry, that doesn't even go to address the other elephant in the room that we haven't even talked about today, because we've been keeping the math simple. If you see a house today in a subdivision in suburban, anywhere USA, doesn't matter, Chicago, Atlanta, Kansas City, that $350,000 house that you have 10% down for today, or 5% or 3.5%, by the time you save 20% in 3 years or 5 years,
it's not 350.
It's not a 350 house anymore.
Exactly. You nailed it. Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, success doesn't love anything more than speed. So it's no different when you're talking about your own personal finances. If you have an opportunity where you could put yourself in a better position than renting and paying someone else's mortgage, do it. Do it quickly,
Right.
because the quicker you do it, the less money you're leaving on the table and the more you're putting in your pocket. And I would bet on the home market every day. Every day I'd bet on it, because like we point out consistently, home prices rarely go down.
Right. 6 of the last 110 years.
Yeah.
6. 3 of them in 07, 08, and 09. So let's not be silly.
Yeah, I want to make a real quick point about discounted homes for HUD from HUD. Just keep in mind, when you're buying a HUD home, it's a little bit different. I was in the REO business for a long time, still am to some extent, but there's not a big REO market out there. But HUD does not typically rehab their homes like Fannie Mae or Freddie before they put them on the market. So very often when you're buying a HUD home, you're not even getting into that home. They're not even turning the all of the heat, water, and everything on for you. You're pretty much buying that home as is, and in some cases sight unseen. And a lot of investors do that because they know what they're getting into. They have a lot of experience.
Right.
They know what could possibly be. So they're going in with their eyes a little wider open than the typical person. So I'd be a little cautious about buying HUD homes for your first home unless you just come across something. But yeah, you could definitely get discounted homes from HUD, no question about it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just a different kind of home. Okay, so we are going to wrap this up in a little bit here, but before we do, how do people get in touch with you and find out about all this stuff we just confused them about?
Nice. We can help you get some clarity around your own financial situation. You can call or text 630-708-7088.
Yeah. And so get in touch with Dylan, guys, because he's going to be able to help you answer all these questions. And if you think you're like right on the cusp of where you think you might be able to purchase, but you're a little worried about pulling that trigger,
Don't
talk to
decide that for yourself. Let
what's
us tell
that?
you. Don't decide that for yourself. Let
Exactly.
us figure it out for you.
Yeah, talk to Dylan and get the information so that you could make an educated decision. And I guarantee you, every time, if you just hear things out, you're going to pick door number 2. Am I right?
Exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah. All right. We once again, guys, we are going to be live from the studio starting January 6th at 9:00 Saturday. January 6th, 9:00 every Saturday. We'll be live from the studio, WCPT 8:20 a.m. out of Chicago. And every Wednesday, we'll still be here like this out of our home offices. So
Nice.
we're happy to have you. Dylan, good luck. Good luck. Is Iowa? What's up with Iowa today?
Nothing. Iowa's quiet. We're on to the bowl game on January 1st.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. And who
Yeah.
are you playing?
Tennessee.
Okay, you're dead. All right. All right. I'm kidding.
Nice.
What's your daughter's name?
Hannah.
Hannah?
Yeah.
Hannah, I'm sorry. I was joking. It was a joke. All right.
She'll be fun.
All right. All right. I'll talk to you and have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. I'll see you. All right, you guys, we are going to wrap this up. I just wanted to, before we do wrap this up, I want to remind everybody that if you want all of your questions answered about real estate, this book is going to answer a lot of them for you. This is a book I recently published called The Top 10s of Real Estate, and it is 32 proven top 10 real estate lists that will help you maximize your profit, whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate. And yes, you can go and buy this book at Amazon or any number of online booksellers. However, if you'd like to get the ebook for free, just simply text 630-921-0611. Just text the word book to 630-921-0611, and I will get you a link to get that book for free. And believe me, you will get a bunch of great information out of that. Having said that, I want to thank you guys on TikTok. I want to thank you guys on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook for tuning in. And we will see you again this coming Wednesday. So be sure to tune in. We'll talk to you guys then. All right. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks for joining us on Real Estate Radio with your host, Larry Shakman, the real estate therapist and top producing broker. Now go to TrustedAgentUSA.com and save thousands when you sell, buy, or invest. Illinois license number 475145795. Tune in next week for the ultimate real estate radio experience.